I am Lakshmi and this is Sushmita. We are going to be your MC for the day. Finance is the lifeblood of trade, commerce and industry and banking sector. Acts as a backbone of modern business. Development of any country mainly depends upon banking system. Whenever there is lots of finance, there has to be checks in place to prevent any leakage of this finance. The role of an auditor becomes all the more important to ensure that the system is well safeguarded. Today's seminar is to discuss on various aspects of bank branch audit. Before starting with the seminar, I request the beloved chairman of CICASA Bangalore, CA Srinivas to accompany our chief guest, CA Viswanath K, onto the dais.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I now request the chairman of CICASA Bangalore, CA Srinivas to welcome the gathering.
Distinguished Chief Guest CA Viswanath sir, CICASA committee members Lakshmi, Sushmita, Virendra, Ramprasad, and my dear friends. Happy morning to you all. Today we have a one-day seminar on bank branch audit. It's a ritual for the branch. Every year we conduct this bank branch audit for the students. We have eminent speakers for this. There is a lot of learning in this seminar for bank branch audit. When we asked Viswanath sir to come as chief guest for this program, he, without saying no, he came. It's we are fortunate to have C. Viswanath sir. He is a past SIRC chairman and very active member of the profession. It's very fortunate to have him here. I welcome you, sir. I request C. Lakshmi to present the floral bouquet to welcome the chief guest. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We have other speakers also, Venugopal, Jaji Matthew and Deepak Chitlur. They are also well versed in bank branch audit. Now we all know that what is the difference between graduation and the CA course. Definitely it's a far different from the graduation BCom or BSc who have come from BSc. It's very superior course. I thank and congratulate all of you to choosing this course. To say about bank branch audit, it's a very learning. Banks are the bloodline of any economy, any country. Banks acts like intermediary, collects deposits, opens a savings account, collects small deposits and lending to those who are needy, especially SME and small group. They are not afford to take outside loans. They will be deal with banks. Any country's growth depends on these banks, and you can see the Indian banks have a very good system and checks and balances. Even worldwide, some of the banks has collapsed in USA and somewhere other places, but our Indian banks are very steady. Small loopholes still there, even then it's got a high standards, NPA classification, considering all those things, it's got a high standards. And maintaining the Indian economy in steady growth. Earlier it was like this bank branch audit. For us all fun it is. When we used to go for bank audit doing our articles, the first assignment used to give by our principal is to tallying ledgers to the balance sheet and P&L. That is the first job we used to do. It was like fun and learning. Now it has all become core banking system. Majority of the banks, everything do online. 600, 800 crores are invested, everything happens online. Core banking system is implemented. Lot of things happen online. but bit difficult to do audit compared to the other previous this thing, because everything happens online. If you want to verify the system also, you require assistance of the bankers, because everything is command driven, not user friendly. So we need, apart from that, the opportunity you got is when you enter a bank, you can go to the currency chest, you can verify the currency, you can sit in cash counter, verify the cash, gold, any documents related to loan, you can verify. If you go as a common account holder, they will not allow you to even stand near the cash counter. But this is an opportunity, you can enter the currency last where the money will be there. You can interact directly with bank. That it is a privilege, I can say. We used to feel very happy whenever we used to go for this bank audit. There is a lot of learning happens in this bank audit. You can correlate to your subject auditing also, and you can verify the documents. It will be helpful. And to know more about the bank branch audit, we have other three speakers. They will give introduction and what is the tax audit, land form audit, what is the bank branch audit under compressed environment. Everything they will explain. The entire session is there. With this, I welcome you all once again for this one-day seminar. Happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the warm welcome and also introduction on bank branch audit. I now hand it over to our MC Sushmita. Over to Sushmita.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, my dear friends, good morning one and all. Light and brightness has always been equated with positivity. Motivation, harbinger of good. To start the seminar on a positive note, I request the dignitaries on the dais to join in the lighting of lamp ceremony. MC Lakshmi to give an overview of today's program. Over to Lakshmi.
Thank you, Sushmita. So to give you an overview of today's program, we have the chief guest address from around 10:20, and post that we have a vote of thanks inauguration which starts at 10:30. Then we start with our technical session. The first technical session is Introduction to Bank Branch Audit Working Papers. It's taken over by CA Venugopal sir. Then we have a short tea break for 15 minutes around 11:30. Post that we have the next session from 11:45, which is on tax audit, long form audit report, taken by CA Gregory Matthew. Post that we have lunch break around 1 p.m. The lunch break is for 1 hour. Then we come back and we resume with the third technical session, which is on bank branch audit under computerized environment and related documents, taken by CA Deepak Chitlur. Again we have a tea break and then the session continues. The session winds up around 4:45 p.m. where we have a vote of thanks by Mithun Acharya, Secretary of SICASA. Thank you. Over to Sushmita.
I now request Ms. Lakshmi to introduce our chief guest. Over to Lakshmi.
CA Viswanath. Sir completed Bachelor of Commerce from Bangalore University and also studied at Management Education Program conducted by the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. A fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India since 1983. Sir is also a certified internal auditor and a member of the Institute of Internal Auditors India, an affiliate of ICAI, Florida, USA. Sir also holds a certificate in Information System Auditing from ICAI. Sir specializes in audit and assurance and has experience in the area of corporate audit, risk-based internal audit of banks, insurance companies, PSUs, IT and ITES, manufacturing, etc. Sir also leads the direct tax litigation practice. Sir has been involved in the central statutory audits of State Bank of India, State Bank of Mysore, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, Syndicate Bank, Allahabad Bank, Karnataka State Apex Cooperative Bank, and also a risk-based concurrent audits of several banks like ICICI Bank, Inaugaration Bank, Times Bank, besides several other banks. Sir is also a prominent speaker at several national and international forums on a wide variety of topics covering auditing and assurance, accounting standards, risk-based internal audit, information system audit, business and operation risk management, corporate governance, family business management, etc. Sir is also a member of South Indian Regional Council of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for 2 terms from 2008 to 2010 and again from 2011 to 2013. Having served as the secretary in the year 2008, he was elected as the vice chairman in 2011 and was elected the chairman in 2012. Sir is also an ex-vice chairman of Student Association of Bangalore Branch, Southern Indian Regional Council, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Ex-joint secretary of the Karnataka State Chartered Accountant Association. Sir is the chartered member of Rotary Club of Bangalore Orchards, treasurer from 1995 to 96, secretary from 96 to 97, and president from 1999 to 2000. Sir is also a managing committee member of Bangalore Chamber of Commerce of Industry and is actively involved with the Federation of Karnataka Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Indo-American Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Bangalore Management Association, and other institutions and organizations. It's a pleasure and honor to invite our chief guest, CA Viswanath. So we would like a few words from you.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everybody. Feels good. Feels good to be here today with all of you young people. You know, it's been a long time since I've been at these kind of programs, especially with young people. I've addressed a lot of seminars and conferences of the members of the profession and businessmen and so on and so forth. But it's good to be with all of you. Nice to see all you young people. Just before I start, let me see what the composition of the group is. How many of you are in the first year of articleship? Oh, that's a large number. What about second year and third year? Okay, let's say about 60-40, 60% first year and 40% second and third year, I suppose. How many of you have already been involved in a bank audit? Yeah, about 20%. So which means that most of you are going to be involved in this whole exercise for the first time. So with this kind of a background, I will not get into too much technical detail. I'd just like to give you a quick overview, and I was told I have about 10 or 15 minutes, maybe I'll take another 5-10 minutes more, because I need to drive home some very important matters to you all at this stage in your careers, your professional academic pursuits, and also keeping in mind that you are all going to be qualified chartered accountants in a couple of years from now, and you will be part of the practice, or you'll be part of the profession outside of practice and industry. But let me tell you that what you're embarking upon right now as part of the bank audit, the system in this country, is an extremely critical part of your development, your career as a chartered accountant and development of your professional skills, wherever you might be later on in life, whether in practice or outside of practice. The knowledge that you will gain of the banking industry in this country, the way banks operate, the various aspects of banking, understanding what banking is and how various aspects of banking are transacted, recorded, accounted, which you will examine, and then based on what you examine and bring to the table, that is what is going to be a critical input for reporting by your principal. It's something like we're going to battle. We're going to battle, and you have the general of the army who is your principal, and you have the lieutenants or the colonels or the captains in your audit managers or supervisors or other skilled technical people that will be part of your team possibly, and you are the most important foot soldiers of the army. Okay? And you are the people who are going to be looking at things up close. And then the most important thing is that you must be equipped to do what you are asked to do. So therefore, what you should be doing, in my opinion, first of all, how many of you have read the guidance note on audit of banks of the institute? ICAI guidance note. Has anybody seen it, looked at it, at least had a perfunctory glance? Yeah? Yeah, that's about half a dozen hands there. Okay, let me tell you, there is no way you can do a bank audit unless you read. You have to read, you have to understand, and you have to clarify any doubts that you might have with respect to anything that you read in that book. And then when you go to the field, to the bank or to the branch where we are working, you will be given obviously certain responsibilities, certain areas to examine, because you're very young people. You're just about embarking on your professional journeys. So therefore your principal, your general is going to say, all right, you audit this aspect or that area and so on and so forth. So you've got to read up and understand that particular aspect of the bank audit that you're asked to do. And then you will have to clarify any doubts with your principal and also be willing to learn on the job. The most important thing is that you learn on the job, and that's why we call this a profession. What is a profession? A profession is one that gives you a combination of academic pursuit and practical training. You can't get better than this. While you're doing articleship and while you're working with your principal, learning the rudimentaries of accounting and auditing, you're also studying, thinking, gaining knowledge, applying what you have read on your job. That's the way to go. And bank audits are all at this point of time in the year. This is bank audit season. The whole country, the whole profession, the whole practice is going to be involved in this exercise for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? So therefore, you are an important cog in the wheel. You're an important part of the whole system. You must feel very proud about it. Okay? So don't think this is some mundane thing, okay, I've been asked to go and do something there, I do a little bit of ticking, a little bit of watching, and then get on with it and the job is done. No. That kind of an attitude is not going to take us anywhere. The interest to learn, the interest to understand, and the inclination and the thinking must be, now this is something I'm going to learn and I'm going to keep it in my mind for the rest of my life and take it forward. Possibly some of you might specialize in banking. Possibly some of you will continue in practice and continue to do bank audits. So many prospects. But don't forget this great learning. This is a great learning experience. Okay. Now, as far as the banks are concerned, I won't get into the details, but there are a couple of things I want to tell you, notwithstanding the fact that you're going to be listening to a lot of let's say, educative, academic, technical matters in the rest of the day to day. Notwithstanding all of that, banks generally, other than statutory audit apart, you must understand the process of audit, the process of control, supervision, and oversight by the Reserve Bank of India. Obviously, you all understand and know, I'm sure, that the Reserve Bank of India is the apex bank in the country. It's the central bank of this country. And it's only the Reserve Bank of India that keeps this oversight and supervision of the business of the banks. Statutory audit is an extremely important part of this whole process of banking supervision. But there are several other audits that also go on in the case of the banks. Just to quickly sort of, you know these concepts, I'm sure, but I'll just sort of briefly tell you. In a bank, you have an internal audit, okay, and you have a concurrent audit. What is a concurrent audit? A concurrent audit is an audit where transactions are audited concurrently as they occur. As they are transacted, as they are recorded, you audit these transactions as they take place during the course of the year. So a concurrent auditor is going to be there in the bank 365 days a year, right through the year. An internal audit possibly may not be that rigorous. It could be a little lesser, but nevertheless, internal audit and concurrent audit have got their own scope, very clearly defined. Okay. You have a revenue audit to plug the revenue leakages. So you have a separate set of auditors for revenue audit. You have branch inspection. Who inspects the branches? The head office orders a branch inspection. They're all given scope and coverage, and they check they inspect the various transactions of the branch and adherence to the internal controls and the policies and the principles and so on. Each of them have got separate defined scopes. You have a head office inspection besides the regular inspection. You have an RBI inspection. The Reserve Bank of India itself goes to inspect these banks and look at transactions, look at their several things like they will review their risk management policies, they will look at their transaction technicalities and so on and so forth. I don't want to go into too much detail. You have a systems audit. As you're all aware, and just as the chairman said this a little while ago, banks, obviously you've been reading in the papers, the totally computerized environment. As he rightly said, in my days of articleship, in the 1980s, in the early 80s or 70s, late 70s, everything was manual. There were no computers. Everything was written by hand. The volume of transactions, even in the banking industry in those days, was not a fraction of what it is today. The complexity of the transactions were not there. So you could do everything manually. But as the complexity grew, as the volume grew, and as the globalized environment, we started playing in that, transacting in that environment, obviously the volumes and the complexity of transactions grew. So therefore, it's in a totally computerized environment. And recently, of course, India has gone digital. All your payments are being done digitally. So therefore, the most important thing besides understanding the rudimentaries of banking and banking transactions and the way they are recorded, it's extremely important that you also understand how to audit in a computerized environment. You're not going to be seeing the kind of paper trails that we saw in our days. It's going to be a lot digital. You have to learn to be able to access data on a computer system. You possibly will also have to use data analytics. You have to be able to download a dump of transactions from the bank and run a data analytics program separately to achieve the objectives that you have set for yourself. You will have to be tech savvy. And I'm sure all you young people are a lot more tech savvy than I am or my generation was. Okay? So, and also at this stage I just like to know, one of the things that I find amongst my, between my two offices I have about 120 article clerks. And every time the exams happen, 50 to 60% say that they have a problem with this paper on information technology. I don't know how it is here. For example, the people sitting here, how many of you have a problem with information technology paper and you're not able to clear it, or you're not able to really do well in that? How many of you? Let's take a look. Not too many. It's pretty good. So Bangalore's pretty good. Oh, okay, maybe some of you have not taken the exams yet. Okay. So that's it. That's it. Maybe that's the wrong question to ask. Yeah, but don't undermine the importance of knowledge, technical knowledge of auditing in a computer environment. Okay. So this is something that you will learn as a part of your bank audit process. Okay. So pay attention to it. And you're in the first year, those of you in the first year and second year, you've got a long way to go. As you go along year after year, and 3 years of your articleship, 3 times possibly you'll be doing bank audits. So each year is going to get better and better. You've got to get yourself equipped better and better. Okay? And don't neglect to focus on your information technology paper in your exams, in your curriculum. And don't look upon it as very mundane. A lot of people say, no sir, it's a very dry subject. Not very interesting. I tried very hard, they want you to reproduce the whole thing, verbatim in the paper. There's no, it doesn't interest me kind of thing. But you have to be interested. You cannot be an auditor today unless you have information technology on your fingertips. You should be able to use software. You should be able to understand data analytics. You must be able to play with the data to get what you want. Okay, so don't neglect that. You cannot be an auditor of the future without your technical skills of in the information technology area. Okay. The other thing is to see, very fundamentally, you have to apply your mind to understand banking transactions, how these transactions take place, how it is recorded. Ultimately, what are we doing as statutory auditors? We are looking at the books of account of the branch, of the corporate office, headquarters, whatever. Okay, we essentially auditors looking at the books of account, and we have an objective for our audit. As compared to all the other audits I spoke about, as a statutory auditor, I think those of you, since all of you are very young and you might not have had too much experience, I think it's extremely important to know what is it that we certify when we certify the accounts of a bank. I think you need to understand what's the objective of this whole exercise. What do we say in our auditor's report? First thing is, some of you will possibly know, is we say the responsibility for financial statements is that of the management. We don't prepare the accounts. The accounts are yours. You prepare the accounts. You prepare the financial statements with all the disclosure presentation requirements. What's my job? My job is to review it. Review it according to the standards set for doing this audit by the Reserve Bank of India, by the regulators, by our alma mater, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So therefore, what we're saying is, we're specifying your responsibility. It's your statements. My responsibility is to review it and express an opinion. Okay? So therefore, also please understand, we are saying the responsibility, when you talk about the bank's responsibility, includes the design, the implementation, and the maintenance of internal control relevant to the preparation of financial statements that give a true and fair view, and that these statements are free of material misstatement. Now this is something that we are saying very categorically in our audit report, saying that the whole responsibility is yours. What is our responsibility? We say here, our responsibility is to express an opinion on these financial statements based on the audit, that we make some statements there. Please note this, that we have conducted our audit in accordance with the standards of auditing issued by the ICAI, and these standards require us to comply with the ethical requirements. So while you're auditing the books of the bank, for example, please keep in mind ethics of professional practice, which you will be told by your principal, what to do, what not to do, how not to do, and how to do. Okay? And that you have performed these audit procedures to obtain, what do you obtain? Reasonable assurance. We're not saying we're giving you absolute assurance. We're only giving you reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatements. Okay? So So mark that, reasonable assurance. And what does an audit involve? Audit involves obtaining audit evidence about what? About the amounts and about the disclosures in the financial statements. And how do you select these procedures? These procedures are selected depending upon my judgment, the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of the risks of material misstatement. Because when you look at the bank, you will be swamped with data. It will be running into hundreds of crores of rupees. Zeros sometimes don't have any meaning unless you look at them very closely. Okay? So therefore, you have to be able to sort of decide what are the critical areas I'm going to be looking at, how am I going to go about the job to achieve this objective of reporting in my auditor's report. Okay? And the auditor considers the internal control relevant to the bank's preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement. We're talking about fair presentation. We're not talking about correct. We're saying fair presentation of the statements in order to design the audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances. But please note this again, not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on effectiveness of the bank's internal control. So while you will look at the internal control, you will review the internal controls, you will look at the adequacy of controls or the inadequacy thereof, look at the grey areas, look and see how they must be strengthened. If there are weaknesses which possibly could result in a fraud, for example, if you believe that the controls are weak and there is a possibility of a fraud, yeah, your antennas must go up, and certainly there's something to be talked of. But otherwise, in the normal course, you are not expressing an opinion on the bank's internal control. You're only reviewing them to convince yourself that there are reasonable controls to prevent material misstatement in the financial statements. Okay. And an audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of the accounting policies. Obviously, as statutory auditors, we must ensure that there is compliance with the accounting policies of the bank and the reasonableness of the accounting estimates. There will be several estimates. Nothing is absolutely perfect. There is a lot of subjectivity in many areas where there will be accounting estimates. Those estimates must be reasonable. You must be able to check whether the estimates are reasonable, for example. And evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statement. So the knowledge of the formats of the balance sheet and profit and loss account, what goes where. There are several off-balance sheet items. All these things, it's a very involved, complicated exercise. And you must all feel proud that you are part of this whole complicated, involved exercise and you are contributing substantially to this nation's financial supervision and control. Okay? So that's as far as the auditor's report is concerned. How many of you have understood? Well, I would like to sort of take another 10 minutes. How many of you have read what has happened recently in Punjab National Bank fraud? Somebody, let me see, how many of you? Yeah, not too many, there's 2 or 3 of you. It means you're not reading the newspapers. You're not looking at the media. Ah, that's bad. You have to read the newspapers every day. You have to look at, and you people have this great benefit of the internet. We never had it. The internet is so powerful. You just punch in there PNB fraud and you will have 25, 30 sites talking about various aspects of the fraud. And I urge you to read it. I urge you to read it because it gives you a feel, an insight into how frauds are perpetuated. It's extremely important for you because it's an important part of the bank audit system. There is what is called an off-balance, there are certain off-balance sheet items. Things that are not part of the financial statement, they're not in there in the financial statements for you to see and audit and test and check. No. I mean, some of these are outside the books because there is no recording of the transaction in the financial statements or in the books of account. They are ancillary records that are maintained when a bank gives a guarantee. These guarantees are given on your behalf, on the client's behalf, to another banker saying, please give him that money If he doesn't pay you back, I will pay it off to you from my client's account. So it's a letter of comfort, a letter of undertaking that the bank gives. Well, there have been arguments about, why this is not part of the core banking system, and why SWIFT, the Society for Worldwide Transfer of Funds, SWIFT, why this thing was not licked up, why the whole thing did not. But the point is that if you read all this, you will find that there is a systemic fault. I would call it a system fault. First thing that happened, the point is, there's the auditor. He audited, catch him. And that's what's going to happen to all of us. Believe me. And that's not good. What is my scope? My scope is to express an opinion on the true and fair view of the financial statements of your bank. How much time do I get? I get a month. 10 days or 15 days for a bank, for a branch. And maybe if you're a central statutory auditor, you get 1.5 months max. Okay? Because the unfortunate thing in this country is, in the system is, that the dates for the bank's board meetings and the audit committee meetings for consideration of the accounts and finalization are set already. It should be working the other way around. The auditors must be asked, are you ready? Have you done what you should do? Can I have my meeting? Can I fix my meeting? No, it's not like that. They fix it. And then we are given stiff deadlines. You finish it by now, or else. That's a very sad and sorry state of affairs, but protest as we may, nothing has happened. That's the way the system works in this country. I really wish that we auditors had a little more time, adequate, reasonable time is what we ask for us to have the comfort to sign off on those financial statements. You see, but that doesn't happen. And so what I am telling you this is, please understand this whole thing has to be done. You are learning, you are being comfortable with what you are doing, understanding, applying your mind, bringing issues to the table, reporting has to be done in 10 to 15 days. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on you to learn. Read in the morning, learn on the job, read in the night, discuss with your principal, discuss with your manager. So therefore this is the process. Okay. Now, I just want to sort of end, I just want to tell you this. You see, ultimately, whatever be the audit, I told you so many kinds of audit in a bank. We are as statutory auditors. Who is it that is seen by the public? The statutory auditor. Because you have signed off on the balance sheet. And he is the fellow who is there in the minds of people. Nobody thinks too much about the internal auditor, the concurrent auditor, the bank's inspection, all these auditors. They are part of the internal system. The face of the audit to the outside world, the face of the financial statement world, he is the statutory auditor. And the branch auditor who has audited the branches which are consolidated and then you certify it at the head office level. You see? So that's the kind of responsibility we have. So please keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. Now, I just want to quickly tell you that frauds that happen, despite all these audits we have, fundamentally happen because there are enough examples of this throughout the past 60 years. Okay? It happens because of collusion. It happens essentially because of collusion. Bribing people. We are looked upon as a nation, a very corrupt nation. If you look at some of the statistics and the analytics globally, it's unfortunate, but that's true. That's true. People are able to do the needful and get what they want. And that's sort of proved in the media everywhere. So what you need to watch out for when you look at fundamentals of accounting in the banks is to watch for this very fundamental element of auditing, which is segregation of duties. No one person must have total control over a set of transactions. It must be distributed to be checked and verified by a combination of people. Could be more than one, could be two, could be three, could be four. Segregation of duties is the watchword, is the key to look out for. Because if you find in an area that there is no segregation of duties, there could be possibilities of collusion and fraud. And if something like that is there, your antenna must go up. And you should, and we have provisions in the Banking Regulation Act, in the Reserve Bank of India's prescription, that the moment the auditor comes to know or even smells the possibility of a fraud, you have the responsibility and you've been given the freedom to write directly to the Reserve Bank of India and say, hey look, I found this, there's something wrong here, something fishy here, you better watch out, you better send your people and check it, there's some fraud possibly. So what the whole banking industry and auditing industry and the regulator is talking about for all of us auditors is you have to be able to raise the red flags at the right time. It's not enough if you soft pedal it and say, no, I spoke to the manager, he said, no, sir, it's being done tomorrow. For example, stock verifications are not happening, physical verifications are not happening, the NPA accounts and so on. So, you all know about NPAs, I suppose, but anyway, you have a separate session on that. NPAs are typically advances that have been given to the bank which have not been repaid beyond a period of time, fundamentally I'm saying. Okay? Now the point is, if the stock verification, for example, which is prescribed, has not been done, and you have no report on record, whereas you should have had it month after month, or at least once in 2 months, once in quarter, whatever, you have to raise the red flag and say, hey, look, something is wrong. Nobody went and verified the stocks. I'm just giving you a small example. There are hundreds and hundreds of examples like this. So you must be bold. You must be courageous. You must have the courage of conviction to say what you want to say. And we all, principals, depend upon you to be able to think, to be able to see, to be able to bring it to the table and tell us, sir, there's something wrong here. Don't fear. Don't think, oh my God, if I bring this to the table, they're going to think that, no, I don't know anything much and maybe it is silly. No, nothing is silly, nothing is trivial. You have to be able to express yourself. Okay? Don't be scared to talk to and discuss with a banking official or a bank manager or whatever category he may be. Many times you will find that those who have been involved in any such frauds or fraudulent activity or possible perpetrators of fraud will have a very brave front. They will tell you so convincingly that if you are a little soft, you will get convinced and he'll go scot-free. No. As auditors, we have to, it's unfortunate, but you read this about bloodhound and watchdog. Is on an auditor, watchdog or a bloodhound? Well, in the early days, you say, yes, watchdog, and certainly not a bloodhound, but I think times are changing. You will have to start becoming a bit of a bloodhound too. See, you have to sniff out blood, like a bloodhound, and then you have to raise that flag. You may not be able to do much about it. But it's your duty to raise the red flag and tell the regulator, hey look, something is wrong here, you better look at that. Supposing somebody had done that in this PNB case, that's the whole case that is being made up. Nobody, neither the RBI inspection, nor the concurrent audit, nor the internal audit, nor anybody talked about it. Nobody brought this to the table. And statutory auditors with one and a half months at your disposal, with the scope that you have got, you're charged with not unearthing a fraud worth 11,400 crores and in a short span of time like this, it's been going on for 7 years or 8 years, and the person who has absconded the country with that kind of money, pardon me for using language loosely, but just for our understanding, is happily sitting outside there, you're not able to touch him, you're not able to bring him back, you're not able to take any action against him, and he says, I don't have the time to come and discuss with the CBI. I'm busy with my business. You see? So therefore, businesses in this country, business enterprises in this country, when I see in my personal experience over the years, there's a very small percentage of business enterprises, I'm sorry to say this, but this is again borne out by statistics and media reports and everything else. Very small percentage are straightforward, who want to do something serious, who are genuine, who are honest, and who want to stick to their business. Most of the times it appears to us from what has happened that you are out to defraud. You take borrow money from the bank, you siphon it out, You use it for various other purposes, and then you will declare your business as, what do you call that, insolvent, and then get away with not being, accountable, and do the needful, have it written off, and get on with your life. But unfortunately, this is what seems to have happened over the years. So therefore, I'm saying, you must be vigilant. You must be absolutely vigilant, because don't think, oh, I'm not a chartered accountant yet. I don't know banking too much. So therefore, somebody else is it. No, you must get into the frame of mind. Quickly before I close, take just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, I'm sorry. I just want to read to you. Are the speakers here? What are the other speakers? Oh, hi, you're here. Okay. Sorry, I'll just take 5 minutes. Okay. Very interesting report here, which I just thought, to put things in perspective. I know this possibly will be more relevant to a group of practicing chartered accountants, your principals and your managers, but you're young people here, and I want you to be aware of this. There's plenty of information on the internet. Okay? Now this is a study conducted by, of course, one of the big four, which is the EY. Okay? Now they did a survey. They came up with some pretty interesting observations arising out of that survey, which I thought I should tell you. About the NPA crisis. They did a survey about the NPA crisis. And the survey key findings were 72% of the respondents stated that the NPA crisis in India is going to worsen. 86% said that the internal audits and concurrent audits alone are not enough to verify the adequate functioning of the NPA mechanism. 87% said that rise in the NPA is due to a diversion of funds to unrelated business or fraudulent activity. 44% said impact on provisioning or performance of the bank is the cause why NPAs are suppressed, because obviously your bottom line is going to be red and it's going to reflect upon your performance. So they suppress NPAs to the extent possible, giving you all kinds of explanations and reasons and saying no provision for this. So you got to watch out. You have to watch out when you look at the provisioning for NPAs. They try to convince you in many ways. 15% said they're optimistic about the effect of regulatory changes and increased supervision by the Reserve Bank of India. 68% said there is a need to develop internal skill sets on credit assessment and evaluation within the banks. They said, look, we got to learn, we got to educate ourselves, we have to up our antenna, we have to enhance our skills. And 91%, you know what they said is very important for all of us. They stressed on the importance of mandating forensic audit to check borrower intent. Now, forensic audit is another emerging area of practice, but that requires technical skills. Okay, so therefore the importance of information technology. These forensic audits, by their very nature, in this kind of environments, are done with the use of digital technology and information technology. Okay, now 56% when they looked at the key investment areas, what should we do in this system for the next years? Proactive strategies. 56% said adopt technology and data analytics. Another 56% said independent borrower background checks are required. You have to go and do your due diligence properly. You have not done your due diligence, you have not done your analysis of the business and so on and so forth. 68% said you have to enhance internal skill sets. Very clear. They feel they are inadequate. They need more training, they need more knowledge. 47% said you have to formulate separate team for monitoring of accounts. They said you need specialized attention. You can't ask a branch to do everything. You sell insurance policies, you send mutual funds, you give advances to small borrowers, big borrowers, you give jewelry, you give large corporate borrowers. And it's a lot of work. Many of them have said, I can't do this variety of banking transactions at this branch with a given set of skills and a given set of people. 25% said market intelligence. What does market intelligence mean? It means public domain, searching on the public domain. gathering information about sectors, about companies, about people, their background, their past history. So therefore, there's a lot of focus today, but the Reserve Bank of India also, post what has happened in the past several years, including what's happened recently, that they have to equip their banks, and they have started that process already. We as professionals also must be prepared, enhance our skills, embrace information technology, do what is required, get into data analytics and understand the advantages of analyzing data digitally and coming to your conclusions. So on that note, I will end my address to you. There's a lot of things to talk about, okay? But this is not a technical session. This is just to give you an overview of where we are, what environment are we auditing in, and the fundamentals of what we need to do. Okay? So thank you very much and have a great day. And I want to see all of you being very happy doing bank audits, and then sometime into the future possibly we'll interact again and share some thoughts and views. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the rhetoric speech on overview of bank branch audit. Before starting with the technical session, I propose vote of thanks for this inauguration. On behalf of Bangalore branch of ICAI and CICASA, I would like to extend our gratitude to CA ViswanathPast sir for his enlightening speech. I request Chairman of CICASA Bangalore, CA Srinivas sir, to present sir with the memento.
I don't think I need a memento. I'm part of all of you. Part of all of you. Anyway.